All right, joining us now from St. Peter's Square is Monsignor Roger Landry, who's been with EWTN during our interregnum coverage. Monsignor Landry, thank you so much for joining us. First off, the Cardinals held their final meeting today before the conclave. What can you tell us about it?
So it was their 12th general congregation, in which 15 were expected to speak, but 26 ended up speaking, revisiting many of the issues that have come up in the first 11 sessions about continuing the good things Pope Francis has done, as well as fixing some of the things that need to be a little bit better with regard to the relations between the Vatican and individual churches like in the United States, as well as the testimony of the martyrs, which is always making the church stronger, as well as the various issues that need to be confronted financially in the Vatican, etc. And so they tied those loose ends together, and now they're totally focused on what is going to await them tomorrow with the Mass for the election of the Holy Father, and then entering the Sistine to do what the whole church is praying for them to accomplish.
Well, certainly a lot to ponder and a very extensive schedule coming up tomorrow. They also celebrate a specific Mass tomorrow morning for the election of the Pope. Talk to us about some of the particular aspects of that Mass, like what readings will there be, for example?
So this is a Mass that hopefully all 407,000 priests in the world are going to be praying tomorrow, the Mass for the election of a Holy Father. It's in the Roman Missal that every parish has. The readings are going to be three. The first reading is going to be taken from the prophet Isaiah, which is all about how the Spirit of the Lord was upon the anointed one, who was Jesus, but that the Spirit of the Lord is going to come down on the cardinals, and particularly the next successor of St. Peter. We're going to hear from St. Paul's letter to the Ephesians, which talks about how we build our faith on the Lord as our cornerstone, as well as that we've all got different gifts. And then finally in the Gospel, it's going to be probably the most important passage in the Gospel of St. John, where Jesus first tells us, just as the Father has loved me, so I love you, remain in my love. That's always the task of every disciple, not to mention the successor of St. Peter. And then he'll say, it wasn't you who chose me, but I chose you. And so we're looking for the Pope, whom Jesus in fact has chosen to be his earthly vicar. And so that's the word of God that's going to be broken open tomorrow for all of the cardinals to hear.
Amazing. If we do not have a Pope by Friday, will they continue this vote over the weekend?
Yes, they will. So on Saturday, they would first have a talk by the senior cardinal deacon, who will sort of remind them of all their responsibilities and basically encourage them to get on with it. And there'd be 3 votes that day and 4 votes on Sunday.
Okay, and we also know that throughout the process there will be several votes, as you mentioned. Do we have a rough idea of what time the Cardinals will actually cast their ballots?
We have a rough idea, but it can change from conclave to conclave. This conclave, we have 18 more electors in there. So depending upon the speed with which Cardinal Pietro Parolin runs, how they're walking on up, how they're doing their oaths, it can change a little bit. But we would be expecting here in Rome that if there were a pope elected on the first ballot of the morning or the afternoon, we'd see white smoke about 11 o'clock here, or 5 in Washington, D.C. in the morning. And then in the afternoon, that would be the first if there were white smoke. Otherwise, about an hour and 15 minutes later, we'd see white or black smoke here, so about 12:15 or so. And then in the afternoon, around 6 o'clock, we'd have white smoke if there were a pope, and around 7:15, white or black. So that's the approximate time scale, but nobody knows until the first day how efficiently they're going to be running the Sistine Chapel and how quickly they're going to be burning the ballots.
Well, no question at all. All eyes are going to be on Rome, no doubt about it. Monsignor, thank you so much for your insight. We're all holding our breath.